What's happening? This is the Tap In Podcast. We are live inside of the Tap In studio. I got a special guest in the building with me. Now, most people, they do a lot of things to make money, but I got somebody who really makes money. My boy Jeff Turner, what's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Man, welcome to Texas, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've never been out here before. So.
Yeah, welcome, man. How's it been treating you so far?
Good.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
Yeah,
Hot out here.
it's fucking like 100 degrees outside.
It's hot. It was hot back in Tennessee, but yeah, it's real hot here.
Yeah. How was your flight, man? I was worried about that because yesterday it started raining and shit.
Yeah. I guess the flight I was supposed to get was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And they rescheduled it to a flight like 2 hours. They were supposed to take off at 12:30. I got to the airport at like 2 o'clock for the other flight. So I looked, they gave me a boarding pass and it said 12:30. I'm like, that's 2 hours ago. So I was like, man, this isn't going to work, you know what I mean? But I guess that flight was delayed, so they just switched me. So it all worked out.
Okay. And it wasn't no trouble landing in Dallas?
No.
Okay. Okay, because it was raining right about the time you were supposed to land last night, and I was like, damn, I wonder if they're just up there flying and hovering around until the storm clears. Because I just got back from New York, and we were fucking hovering for like an hour waiting on thunderstorms, and I was like, fuck. But yeah, man, glad you made it, man.
Yeah,
glad you made it, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So when it comes to making money, man, I'm always intrigued about somebody who figured out how to do this shit. Because I seen this episode of, what was it called? It was on Greed. They were talking about this guy named Albert Talton from L.A. You heard of him?
Yeah.
So he was from L.A., which is where I'm from, and I remember him having a bunch of counterfeit money in the streets, and it was like a big deal, and everybody was trying to buy counterfeit money, and I was like, damn, how did he figure that shit out? You know what I'm saying? I'm always intrigued on how people can figure out how to do this shit, man.
Yeah.
And so tell the people, like, we're gonna get into your story, but tell the people what you were arrested for.
When I was originally arrested, it was on state charges because I was set up, and the Secret Service was my arresting officers or whatever, but they didn't have any evidence against me. Like, there was no case. They didn't know who I was until this guy set me up, and then they arrested me. So the state charged me at first until the feds could build evidence, get a warrant to go through my computers, all this. So I was originally arrested on criminal simulation over $60,000 in Tennessee, in Knox County. And then about 3.5 months later, the feds finally indicted me. It was a 5-count indictment for conspiracy to counterfeit U.S. obligations, like a couple counts of uttering counterfeit U.S. obligations, sale and manufacture of counterfeit obligations.
Shit. All because somebody told on you.
Yeah.
God.
Man, he did more than, he tried to set me up. He tried to frame me for shit I don't even do. He was trying to get me to get him like a brick of heroin over the phone. Yeah. He was trying to save his own ass, like, any way he could.
That's what I figured.
I mean, it is what it is. I was too smart for that, at least. You know what I mean? I knew he got arrested, so when he asked, we don't talk over the phone, you know what I'm saying? You never, and he calls me. I knew he got arrested. And then, like, 2 days later, he didn't tell me he got arrested. He you know what I mean? He didn't come out and say, like, oh, I got arrested up in Cleveland. He didn't say none of that, but he starts talking over the phone, asking me for 700 grams of heroin. And I was like, bro, you're out of your mind, bro. I got to end this phone call. So, yeah. So they couldn't get me for none of that, but, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's jump back. Let's rewind, man. Where are you originally from? You from Knoxville?
No, I'm from, I was born in Miami. Just outside of Miami, a little town called Sunrise. It's like a little suburb near like Fort Lauderdale, Miami. When I was like 3 or 4 years old, my family and I moved to Palm Harbor, Florida, which is like a suburb of Tampa. And I grew up there until I was about 25, and then I moved to Knoxville. So. Okay.
All right. What was it like? What were you as a kid, man? How were you as a kid? Were you kind of like just hyper, or were you just like a chill kid, or?
Shit, I don't even know, really. I mean, I played baseball until about high school. Okay. Just a regular kid, I'd say. Nothing out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Pretty good childhood.
Yeah, I always hear though that Florida is a different type of.
Oh, it fucking is. I'm sure I've always seemed like California and Florida are kind of similar in some way. I can't put my finger on it, but yeah, Florida's different than Tennessee or Georgia, any of these other states I've lived in. For sure.
Yeah. Were you dabbling in recreational drugs and shit like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I started smoking weed when I was like 13. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like getting to high school, you start, you know what I'm saying, smoking a little blunt on lunch, that kind of thing. So I started like kind of getting in trouble, I guess, when I was in high school. Start skipping school, this and that. One day, me and my friends were skipping school, go skateboarding, whatever, smoking a bowl of weed, and a cop comes up and finds this weed pipe on me. So they arrest me at 16 and put me on probation.
What?
So yeah, so like I was on probation, so I couldn't smoke anymore. I was getting drug tested and stuff. So like one of my buddies felt bad because I'd drive my friends to school and we'd always smoke a blunt in the morning, but now I can't smoke. I'm on paper, so he'd always take these pills from his mom and be like, well, take these, you know what I'm saying, because they get out of your system quick. So I started kind of dabbling in some Percocets, you know,
Okay.
to avoid the drug test thing. So that's kind of the start of like smoking weed and getting into, you know, drugs, which I regret doing. I've been sober for 2 years now, but
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
So Percocets, it drains out the weed in you, or like the whatever they test?
No, just weed takes like 30 days to get out of your system. You know what I'm saying? So you in probation usually get drug tested like once a month, or at least I did then.
Okay.
And pills only take like 3 days to get out of your system. So you know what I mean, and you know which day you're going to get drug tested. So I could take Percocets every day of the month until 5 days before my drug test, and then just stop, and then piss clean, and then you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But weed, if you smoke weed every day, you're failing the drug test.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, goddamn. Okay, and so at 16 they put you on papers.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you on papers?
Just a year.
A year?
It was I was a minor, and it was a possession of paraphernalia charge. So they gave me 1 year, you know, completed that without violating or anything. Get off paper at 17, and go back to smoking weed. Start selling weed, all this. You know what I'm saying? By the time I was 19, I graduate high school, and I'm selling a good amount of weed at this point. And I get pulled over. They found a half pound of weed on me. Get put on paper again.
Damn.
So that same thing as before, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't smoke, so I started taking these pills again. And at this point, that's when like the opioid epidemic in Florida really was hard, you know what I mean? So I started going from Percocets to, Roxy's and, Dilaudids, all, the more serious painkillers.
Yeah. Damn. And so a half a pound of weed, and they give you get locked up at all, or they just?
Yeah, I was in there for like a week.
Oh, okay.
And then they ended up sentencing me to 3 years paper for that.
Shit.
Because that was the first charge I got when I was 16 I was a minor, so it wasn't on my record. So when I was 19, this was the first adult charge. You know what I mean? So they even expunged that. If they basically said 3 years paper, if you complete it without violating, it'll be adjudication withheld off your record. So, and I was able, luckily, to do 3 years paper without violating, somehow.
Yeah, that's usually the trap right there.
Yeah.
The papers.
And at that point in my life, I was wild, you know what I mean? So I don't know how, but yeah, I did the 3 years and got off.
So when did the counterfeiting start? Like, when did you first start making money?
Well, the first time I ever tried it, I was about 19, about at that time. I think it did have something to do with I was selling a lot of weed at the time, making some decent money, and then I got arrested for it, got put on paper, so I kind of stopped selling weed. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I knew if they caught me again with a pound of weed on probation, it'd be not good. So,
yeah.
But at that point I was developing a little drug habit, you know what I mean? So I started counterfeiting a little bit when I was 19. And at first they didn't look good. I was a kid, you know what I mean? I don't even remember, just photocopying stuff, basically, just stupid shit that didn't work. But then I read the book. Have you ever heard of Art Williams? The Art of Making Money?
I've heard of him. I think they did a episode on
American Greed.
I don't know if it was American Greed, but it might have been on that channel, whatever that channel is that they have all those crime stories on.
Yeah, Vice.
Yeah, Vice. It might have been a Vice. He's kind of like a heavy set kind of guy, or maybe he was.
No, I think you. Well, I don't know. There's another guy from Canada that's been, you know what I'm saying, out there.
Yeah, I think that might be the guy who I don't know who Art Williams is. Then.
Yeah. Well, a book was written about him.
Okay.
Back, I don't know when it was released, but I found it when I was 19. So like I started this counterfeiting thing, started trying it, and they didn't look good. I wasn't able, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't anything. But then I found this book, and I read it, and it kind of explains how he was doing it. So like that kind of, I guess, opened my mind up to like actually attempting to like beat security features. You know what I mean? Because before I was just trying to, you know, copy these pictures and make them look good. But reading that book, it kind of was like he sandwiched two sheets together to have a strip and a watermark, and like used chromaflare car paint to make the color shifting ink, and you know what I mean. So reading that, it kind of like opened my eyes to actually trying to crack these, you know, different ways to beat these features. So I came up with like a little recipe, started doing it, and the bills actually worked. You know what I mean? They passed. I was selling them to this guy, and then like I was selling to this guy through a friend of mine, and he ended up overdosing and dying. So like I couldn't link up with the guy I was selling them to anymore, so I just stopped doing it. But I did that for like 6 months when I was 19.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you real quick. So most people don't know that there are multiple security features in money. Because I know I didn't know that. I just thought, you know, the little strip that's in there, that's the only security feature that's on money. Can you explain, like, what are some of the security features?
Well, there's a lot, really. So there's, let's see. First of all, bills are printed on starch-free paper. So they've got the counterfeit detection pens, you know what I mean? So, like, that's why counterfeit bills will mark black, real bills will mark yellow, because there's the ink in those pens is iodine based, so the iodine reacts with starch and turns black. But money's printed on starch free paper, so it stays yellow when you mark it. So that's kind of like the main, I guess, security feature in a way, or just a way to test, you know, legitimate currency from counterfeit. So it's printed on that kind of paper. The process of printing on it is called an intaglio press, the way that the BEP actually makes them, which is like really high pressure, and like it's like a negative plate that's carved with the image. So then you rub ink in it, and it gets in the grooves, and then so when you press it down, the ink actually stands above the paper a little bit, and that's what gives it texture. So that's kind of another way people test them, like scratching the shirt, they say, like feeling the texture of the ink.
Okay.
And then like the paper is manufactured with red and blue fibers, little tiny, if you take like a magnifying glass to the bill, there's tiny little red and blue hairs throughout it.
Really?
Yeah. There's color shifting ink in the little 100 in the corner that shifts from, you know, now it's copper to green, it was green to black, you know, different color shifting pigments. And then there's, you know, the strip and the watermark inside the bill. The strip glows red under UV light on a $100 bill. Each denomination of bill glows a different color. But I was doing hundreds, and it glowed red. You know, the watermarks are all different for different denominations. Trying to think of other ones. I mean, there's a lot of other, like infrared and magnet. The ink they print money on is magnetic, so you can actually pick up, if you have a neodymium magnet, you can pick up a bill off the ground, you know what I mean?
Really?
It's magnet. That's how like bill validators and machines check legitimate currency. So there's a lot of different features, and I'm sure there are some that I probably don't even know about, you know what I mean? Because they keep certain ones kind of secret, you know what I mean? They try to.
Okay. All right, so 19, the guy who you're selling the counterfeit money through, he passes away, so you're not able to get a hold. So you kind of stop. How long did you stop for? Like,
well, I did it for about 6 months. My buddy passes away, so I couldn't link up with the guy I was selling them to anymore. So I just decided to stop. Which, I mean, I made some money. You know, I mean, I was selling like, I I was probably making like $1,000 every couple weeks. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like anything crazy, but you know, when you're 19 and I was making some money selling weed, I couldn't do that anymore. So that was just kind of like a hustle I had, and it worked for a little while. But I didn't. At that point, I thought the penalties for counterfeit, I always heard it was like huge. You know what I mean? Which really isn't the case. But anyway, so I just stopped doing it. And you know, I kept doing drugs. Just after that, it was basically kind of typical Florida, you know, life.
Typical,
really.
yeah.
I got into the pill scene, started selling pills. You know, pretty much everybody did back then. Everybody in my circles, at least. But you know, selling pills, sponsoring people to go to doctor shopping, all that kind of crazy stuff that was going on back then.
Doctor shopping, what's that?
So like in Florida, now there's a pill monitoring system. You know what I mean? So if you go to a doctor and he writes you oxycodone, that goes in a database. So you can't go to another doctor and get another script oxycodone written without it like red flagging and the DEA numbers getting involved and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But back then that wasn't the case. Like I could go to a doctor, get 120 Roxy 30s, and then go to another doctor and do it again, and go to another doctor and do, you know what I mean? So a lot of people would just doctor shop. But most of the people doing that were like drug addicts that didn't have the money to do it, so people would sponsor them. You know what I mean? So I'd pay the $250 for you to go to the doctor and get your script, and then you give me half your script. You know what I mean? So it was like,
okay.
But everybody was doing that kind of stuff back then. It was the Wild West in Florida back then.
Yeah, god damn. Okay. And so from 19, that's at 19. What year is this around? What year are we talking?
At that point, it was probably 2007 to 2012. Like there was a 5-year period of that, and that's kind of where my drug addiction formed. You know, bad at that point, because I was just, you know, getting hundreds of Roxys every day, selling them, you know, doing all this stuff. Developed a pretty bad addiction at that point. I mean, I've always been functioning. I wouldn't say it was a bad addiction, but I was doing a lot of drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, I always was able to keep a job and, you know, function, pay my bills. I was never like a bad on it like that. But you know, I just kind of got tired of that lifestyle. So by the time I was like 25, 26, I met this girl. She had a couple kids from a previous marriage. So, and she was like kind of a good girl, you know what I mean? Didn't really do much bad stuff, whatever. So we started dating and decided to kind of move up to Tennessee to kind of get away from Florida for a while.
Okay.
So we ended up doing that, moving to Knoxville, and I tried to quit doing drugs, and it worked for like 6 months, but then I ended up like stumbling across this really big pill dealer, and I just got back into it. But again, like I had a good job. I was working at a sign company.
Okay.
So, you know, functioning, but still kind of maintaining my drug habit.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing anything on the street. Like, I wasn't committing crimes really, besides just buying pills from personal use. And, you know, did that for probably 4 or 5 years, just working this job, doing the family thing. We ended up getting married and having a couple kids. So, like, by the time, I don't even know what year it was, but I did that for like 4 or 5 years. And then at that sign company, I end up wrecking a bucket truck and losing my job. So, like, I basically found myself with, you know, 2 stepkids, 2 kids of my own. One of them was like a newborn baby. The lease was up. We were renting a house. The lease was up in like a month or 2, and I'd lose my job. So, and I had a drug habit, so I didn't have like savings or anything. You know what I'm saying? It was just, I was living paycheck to paycheck, basically. So I was in this situation to where I was like fucked, basically. You know what I mean? I need money fast to renew the lease, just all this shit.
Yeah, back against the wall. You gotta figure this shit out. How long before, like, shit was gonna really hit the fan? Was it like you were like down to the last month that you need to renew, or? Basically,
I think there was like 2 months. It was like I lost my job, maybe less than that, like a month and a few weeks or a couple weeks or something. I kind of figured, like, I remember thinking, well, if I find a job, if it takes me a couple weeks to get a job, and then they hold the first paycheck and then they get paid, I was like, I'll miss this month's rent, and then the landlord won't want to renew the lease because I'll be, so it just, I figured in my head, like, if I don't make something happen soon, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not, So I basically at that point decided to go back to the street life, committing crimes, I guess, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which, I was cool just working the job, because I did all that street shit for so long. It was like I was kind of over it, you know what I mean? I wanted to settle down, raise a family. But then that all happened, and it was like now I'm out here committing crimes out of desperation, you know what I mean? Like, because I need to support my kids, you know what I mean? So yeah, basically, so I was thinking, like, I could sell drugs, but I didn't really want to do that because I moved to Knoxville and, like, started a family. So I wasn't, like, I didn't know a bunch of people in the streets and stuff. Like, I knew some drug dealers, but no, people to sell drugs to. So that was kind of out of the question. Man, I thought about I was thinking about robbing banks, anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're up against the wall with a newborn baby, like, I'm not going to be homeless, you know what I mean? So, but counterfeiting kind of seemed like the safest option, the easiest, just print money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And at that point, I met this dude at the sign company I was working at, and he told me he sold some weed and, like, a little bit of coke or whatever, but then he got fired from the sign company. I hadn't really talked to him again, and then I got fired. So now I'm on another friend that worked at the sign company basically just called me and was like, if you need any dope or whatever, call this dude. You know what I mean? So I called him one day and go over to his house, and he was like, he wasn't just selling weed. He had heroin, meth, coke, bottles of lean, fucking pills, all sorts of shit, and a good amount of it. You know what I mean? So I was surprised. So I basically brought up to him, I'm fucked right now. I think I'm gonna start printing money again. If you wanna re-up, I'll give you these bills and you go re-up down in Atlanta with them. You know what I'm saying? We could work out some kind of deal, and he was cool with that. So I basically kind of just started this process of, like, and I had a recipe when I was 19, but I wanted to make them. I wanted to make bills that could not be detected, for the most part. So yeah, I kind of tweaked the methods I was using, experimented with different, like, makeups and stuff to make color shifting, pigments, and
And
all that.
what kind of printer did you have at that point?
At that point, just a regular shitty little Canon printer. You know
Really?
what I mean? Like, I wasn't, when I decided to start counterfeiting again, I was in this fucked up financial spot. You know what I mean? So I didn't have money to, like, invest in equipment, really.
Yeah.
But I'm a graphic designer, so, like, really, like, even your regular shitty printer is pretty good quality printer. It's more of the files that, you know what I'm saying, the digital images. So, like, I basically focused on making the digital images as sharp and clean as I could, which, even with the shitty $40-$50 printer at Walmart, like, you can, if the files are really high resolution and clean, then you can make them look good off of a shitty little printer, really. And the better printers you get, the even better. You know what I mean? Nowadays, inkjets are, you can, practically print micro printing on a $200-$300 printer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit.
That's what the Secret Service is, like, scrambling about. It's because now, like, just about anybody can print high quality looking bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have, like, these recipes and, like, if you can beat the security features, the resolution of the prints isn't a problem anymore. You know what I mean? You used to need these big ass presses and, offset presses to get this fine resolution, but yeah, technology's gotten pretty crazy in the past 10, 15 years. So.
Yeah. Okay. Damn. And so once you meet the guy and you tell him you can start, you're going to start printing money again, how soon after do you, like, go into action or you start getting him the money?
Well, I went into action immediately, is like trying to, experiment with different ways and get these bills to look good. Like, but it probably took me, I'd say, a month to actually have, like, a finished product. You know what I mean? Because, like, the paper I was using when I was younger, like I couldn't deal with it. So I wanted to find a new type of paper to use, and I knew it needed to be thin to sandwich 2 sheets together, and I was having like a problem with the opacity of the paper, you know what I mean? So like tracing paper is a good thickness, but it's like translucent, you know what I mean? So you can't print a strip and a watermark on tracing paper, you know what I mean? Because you'll just see it right through the face of the bill.
Yeah.
It needs to be, the paper needs to be, you know, dark enough to where you can't see it through the bill, but if you hold it up to the light, you can see it, you know what I mean? So it has to be, have that good balance of opacity.
Yeah.
And just like randomly somehow, I forget how, I think I was just experimenting with every kind of paper I could find, you know what I mean? And eventually I stumbled across Bible paper. I mean, I was looking at like tissue paper, different toilet papers, the paper that toilet paper rolls are packaged in, fucking, you know, wrapping paper, just everything, you know, any kind of thin paper, I'd test it and see. But eventually I found Bible paper, the thin paper and Bibles.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly. I mean, for everything, you know what I mean? Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And so when you found the paper, I mean, how many papers at that point had you tested? Like, I know you said a bunch, like it was
countless, bro.
Really?
Countless. I mean, basically for that first whole month, and even after that, I'd still do this, but like at least that month, every single day, that was my mission. You know what I mean?
Figure out what paper.
I would go to makeup sections to look for different color shifting, nail polishes, holographic stuff, you know, just to experiment and find what works, what doesn't. So like going to makeup sections, art stores, craft stores, bookstores, just everything, looking for paper and certain kinds of makeup to do, because I knew like how to, you know, print the strip and the watermark wasn't an issue. I knew you just printed it. The problems were basically the color shifting ink and the paper I would use. So those 2 things were on my mind. I was just all day, every day, constantly editing these images on the computer and going to the store looking for different types of paper and makeups and paints and, you know.
Yeah.
So, but eventually I found the Bible paper, and it worked perfect for everything I needed it to. And I stumbled across this type of eyeshadow. It's a holographic eyeshadow, but it's really just like a color shifting pigment, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I found that too, and like basically everything kind of just fell into place. And I eventually printed it on this Bible paper, used the makeup, did all this stuff, and it like I finally had something that was good, you know what I mean? And I knew it. So at that point, yeah, I was. But before I kind of found all this for the hundreds, I was selling my drug dealer friend 20s.
Oh,
so he could just go re-up.
So the 20s were easier to make?
Well, yeah, at that point, I wasn't putting strips and watermarks in the 20s. Like, I was just getting a good cotton paper and printing them, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And because he was mixing in these 20s with, like, however much, probably like 10, 20,000 worth of real money, you know what I mean? To go to Atlanta to re-up. So, like, I'd just give him envelopes with, like, $5,000 in fake 20s, and he'd mix it in with all this real money. And, you know what I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe he never told me he got caught by his people, but I'm sure they eventually found out, cause you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But so I was selling him these 20s. I finally get this recipe for the hundreds. Like, I figure out, okay, this Bible paper works, all this shit. And then, like, literally, like, within a week, like, I figure out this recipe for these hundreds, and then my dude gets arrested. The police raid his house for selling dope, you know what I mean? And they found counterfeit money in his house. Like, that wasn't their reason for being there. But yeah, one of his charges was possession of counterfeit money. So I was like, you know, fuck, I don't have anybody to sell these to, but I've got this recipe. I got these hundreds looking good. You know what I mean? So at that point, my lease was up. So me and my wife and kids go stay in a hotel. And I didn't have anybody to sell these hundreds to. So I started fucking breaking them myself, which sucked. I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? But, yeah, again, like, I wasn't really making money at this point. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? I was getting by, selling them in the 20s, whatever. But then he gets arrested, and I was like, I had like $1,000, if that, to my name. So we just get a hotel, and that lasted a few days. And then it was like, okay, now I'm desperate again. So I started just going to stores, you know what I mean?
So
breaking these hundreds.
You didn't take the money and then pay for the hotel? Or you were?
No, with fake money?
Yeah.
Hell no. In fact, that's a funny story. Like, see, I mean, obviously, you put a hotel on your name. You know what I mean? If you give them fake money, that's just not, you know, a good idea. One hotel I was staying at, I was staying at this hotel with this drug dealer that I was fucking with. This is years later, you know, or like a year later. But, and I think I gave him like a sample 100 or something, like to show him. And what was it? I forget exactly. Basically, and I knew the person that worked the front desk at this hotel. She came up to me and was like, man, I got a fake $100 bill. Or like she mentioned it to me that she received one. And I was like, motherfucker, because I'm staying at this hotel. So like, even though somebody else paid for the room with this fake bill, like it's still, I'm at this hotel. Like I don't want this heat. You know what I mean? It fucked me up. So I even took it from her. I was like, here, I'll fucking pay you. Here's $100. Just give me that. You know what I mean? I just didn't want the police to get involved or anything. So, but yeah, that kind of fucked me. I never used, I didn't even like to buy cigarettes or anything with a fake $100 bill just because you have to show them your ID. You know what I mean? Because if you, you know,
they got
show them your ID,
paper trail.
Yeah, they just see your name. Sometimes they scan your ID. I don't know if there's a record of that or, you know what I'm saying? So I was always really cautious about, you know, being anonymous when I'm breaking bills. For sure.
And so you were just taking the hundreds in the stores and just getting change for them?
Yeah, at first that was like everything kind of progressed, and I learned from my mistakes and learned how to make more money. But at first it was just like going into a store, buying $10 worth of shit, getting $90 change, go to the next store, and just do that all day, every day. Eventually I kind of learned, you know, better way, like buying money orders, you know what I mean, and give them a few $100 and get a money order and then go cash the money order. Or buying, I started buying Visa prepaid gift cards because I was living at a hotels, and I didn't want my name on the hotel, so we'd buy prepaid Visa cards so I could put it on, you know, charge the room on Expedia or whatever, hotels.com, and you can use a prepaid Visa card, so there's no name attached to it. You can just give them a fake name, and you know what I'm saying. But the good thing about the Visa cards is like there's like a $2, $3, $4, there's like $3.99 fee attached to a $100 prepaid Visa card. So it's like, you know, if you buy one, it's like $104. So I'd give them 2 fake $100 bills and get the $100 prepaid Visa card and $95 change. So it's almost like doubling up. Like, and a lot of stores have multiple registers. So I'd go to like a Walmart and hit up, you know, a register up front, the electronic center register, the garden center register, another one up front, and I'd send a girl in with me to do the same thing. And it's like we're making, you know, at this point we're making $1,500 per store. You know what I mean? $1,000.
Yeah.
So it got better over time. You know what I mean? But at first, yeah, I was just going buying a couple tacos and getting $90. You know what I mean? But,
yeah. Shit, that got to be nerve wracking, huh?
At first it was like I didn't even want to do it because like, you know, you get in your head like I'm not sure. Like I knew that bills looked good. Like I'd show them to like my wife or certain people I trusted, and they'd be like, "Oh, these look fucking great." But still, like, you know what I mean? I study this shit. I know all the security features. I know like, oh, well, the micro printing doesn't look good here. It's a little blurry, but like no one really notices that. But in my mind, they do. You know what I mean? So I was definitely nervous at first, but you know, after going to like 4 or 5 different places, 10 places, the first like 10 places I went to, I mean, I'd hand them the bill and they just hold it up, look, and cash it, or just mark it with a pen. Like they don't even look at the shit. Yeah. You know, they're trained to just look for a strip. As soon as they see it, boom. Yeah. Or mark it. As soon as it marks yellow, take it. So like going after the first like 10, 15 places, there was never a problem. It was just like it was nothing. So then I was just like, okay. I'm not nervous anymore. Yeah. I spend them everywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
man, so I know for me, I did like petty shit. You know what I mean? Like little crimes. But when I always did something that probably I shouldn't have been doing, I was the most nervous when I started getting comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because I know like eventually I'm gonna get caught if I do this too many times. And that, I think that's what's probably saved me from being like a real fucking criminal. You know what I'm saying? Because I already know that's the thing that gets people caught up when they get comfortable in whatever they're doing. And then you start getting sloppy or you start taking shit for granted. Where in beginning when you were really like kind of like, I don't know if I'm, you know what I mean? You start paying attention to everything. But then as you get like, oh yeah, nah, it's gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying? That's what me personally in my head, I'd be like, okay, this shit is getting too easy. I need to fucking chill out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I definitely had those I mean, I was always like really cautious and paranoid. But you know, yeah, it comes to a point to where like I just kind of accepted like I'm gonna get caught for this eventually. You know what I mean? Like, because like you know, it's hard to stop when you've got. I mean, every day it's like it's just. I mean, as much money as you want, really. You know what I mean? Free money. You can print money. Like, like, I'm doing this till the wheels fall off, bro. You know what I mean? But I was always still like really cautious. You know, tried to put off the inevitable for as long as I could. You know, I was like, if I was going back to my hotel room where there were printers and stuff, I'd like make U-turns, like pass it, make a U-turn, make sure I wasn't being followed. You know, I'd always park far away from every store, you know, walk so they couldn't get my license plate number. You know what I mean? I'd park in some residential neighborhood over here and walk, you know, a little ways to like a shopping mall and just bust them down and grow like a beard for a couple weeks and then shave it and just try and, you know what I mean, I actually thought about how to, you know, disguise myself or think of actual ways to try to get away with it. You know what I mean? Because I eventually started seeing like bolos out for me. Like
what's bolos?
A be on the lookout.
Oh.
Like, yeah, there were like pictures of me and my wife breaking these bills in certain stores throughout Knoxville and stuff. So
really,
yeah. So at that point, that was not good. You know what I mean? That definitely sketchy.
That gotta be a fucked up feeling.
Yeah.
You go into a store to break 100, and your picture's on the wall.
Well,
like,
they were posted on like there's this website, Knoxville Crime. It's like a kind of like a public service, whatever. It like, you know, if you steal someone's bike or something and have video, you can post it on. So like, there was stuff like that on that website about me and my wife. And
oh shit!
But they didn't know my name or anything. They were just like, we're looking, you know, these people are breaking bills throughout the city or whatever.
Yeah, man. So how long did you were you going in the stores breaking the bills? How long did that last?
Probably about 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, that's a nice little run.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even what got me caught up. You know what I mean? Really, because like I didn't want to spend it myself. I wanted to just sell them. Because I figured that was a better way to not get caught, you know, which obviously I was wrong on that one. But
yeah.
So like I was breaking them in stores to get money to live and this and that. But I was also like at that point I was doing heroin. Like I never used needles. I don't like needles, but I'd snort it and stuff. So. But I was doing heroin. So I'd buy heroin, you know, with fake money from all these different dealers. And, you know, some of them found out the bills were fake. You know, get all pissed off. I just fucking ignore their calls or whatever. Some of them found out and were, you know, impressed. They were like, holy shit, these bills are fake, you know, and they'd want more of them to buy them, you know what I mean? So I started selling. At that point, I probably accumulated like 10 different pretty high-level heroin dealers that were all buying these bills. For every time they'd go to a different city to re-up, you know, they'd want however much I could get, you know, get them, basically. Which usually I'd try to sell them like anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15,000 worth of fake, because I was selling it for 25 cents, a quarter of its value, basically. So $10,000 would be like 2,500. But I mean, it'd take a good solid day nonstop printing to make, you know what I mean, $10,000 to sell them.
So that ain't bad. 2,500 a day. I mean, a day's work.
Yeah, I mean, normally like if somebody put in an order for 10,000, I'd print like 12,500 or something, you know, to have a couple thousand myself to go break, and then I'd sell him that. So if I go break $2,500, I'm getting like $2,000 out of it, and then if I sell the other 10, I'd get like $2,000 out of it, you know, roughly. So like I preferred just breaking them as far as the money was concerned. You know, I mean, it made way more money just going to stores and buying shit, because you get like 80 cents on the dollar, you know what I mean, because you're just buying something for $20 and getting the change. But I thought that I was more likely to get caught breaking them myself, so I sold them to, but eventually I ended up getting caught by selling them to somebody. So
okay, man, so take me through that. So the drug dealers or the heroin dealers, they're buying them. You're selling them for 10, 15. You're selling 10, 15,000 worth of counterfeit, making that money. How long? So you did the 2 years breaking the bills, and then how long did you actually go, or was that within the 2 years?
That was within the 2 years.
Within the 2 years? Okay.
Yeah. I probably broke them. You know, I was dealing with that one guy. He got arrested, so I started breaking him. I did that for probably, well, I mean, I guess, like, really, I was breaking them myself for the 2 year period, but as it went on, I was buying heroin from these people and meeting people. So, like, at first there was, like, one guy I'd sell them to, and then I'd meet another guy and he'd want them, so it kind of slowly stacked up. So towards the end, I was dealing with probably, like, 10 guys that were all picking up bricks of heroin, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Buying money from me, but I was also breaking them, you know, but it slowly added up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How much would you say, like, out of all of the counterfeit money that you made, about how much did you make off of that, out of everything that you sold from the whole time?
Like, how much did I walk away with?
Yeah.
God,
real money.
It's hard to tell, man. Everybody asks me, like, what's the number, like, how much total, but it's like, it's hard to tell, really. I mean, if you factor everything in, I probably made around $1 million of fake, but I mean, within a 2 year period, I probably walked away with, like, I mean, I broke a lot of them myself, so, like, I'd say maybe 700,000. I'd say, give or take. I mean, I don't know, though. You know what I mean? It's really hard.
Yeah, because you're doing it every day.
Yeah, I'm doing it 10 grand at a time. Yeah. Some days, no one would order any, and I was feeling lazy. I'd just print out a couple thousand, go break them myself. Other days, somebody would order 10,000, and I'd print out another 10,000 for myself. You know what I mean? So it was up and down, depending on how I felt, really, that day. You know?
Yeah. Damn. $1 million.
Well, over the course of a couple of years now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but that's a lot of printing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's a fucking lot of printing, back and front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
And the strip and the watermark in between them, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, I would print multiple different layers for each side. You know what I mean? So, like, I'd have one file that was just the background color, and I'd print the paper a color. You know what I mean? Then put it back in and print, all the black ink. And then put it back in again and change all the serial numbers differently. So all the bills had different serial numbers. So it took a long time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, each bill, there was 3 prints for the front of the bill, 2 prints for the back, and then another print with the strip and the watermark. And then I had to spray it with this chemical to make so the pen's marked on it. And then paint on this color shifting makeup. And then, you know what I'm saying, and then take a UV, invisible ink UV pen and draw a line down the strip to make the strip glow red. So, like, the whole process took a long time, you know what I mean? So
for one bill?
Yeah.
About how long would it take you to make one $100 bill?
So if I were to just make, like, one right now or whatever, it'd probably take, like, 10 minutes. But if you print a bunch of them at once, it gets faster. Because while these are printing, I'm spraying these ones, and then while those are drying and those are printing, I'm doing, you know what I mean? So, like, it would take 10 minutes to print one bill, to make one bill from scratch. But if I was making 10,000, I just go to the computer and print 10 copies, and that's $1,000, and then work on these 10 copies. You know what I mean? So, like, it would probably take me like 5 hours to make 10,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So where are you getting all the paper from, though? Because I know you said you found it in the Bible paper. Like, are you just where are you getting the paper from at this point?
Well, I tried, I looked up online, like, Bible paper wholesalers, you know what I mean? And so basically, like, the only places I found were these giant manufacturers that only sell it in bulk, reams of paper this big come on a pallet from a freight truck, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to go that route, you know what I mean? Like, because at this point, I'm already busting bills throughout the city. Like, I'm paranoid. I didn't want a fucking freight truck to pull up at some random house and, like, sign for it. I need a fucking forklift just to get it off the truck, you know what I mean? So I was just going to bookstores and just ripping out the blank pages out of the back, you know what I mean? But I was also like, any way you could accumulate Bibles, really. Like, hotels, I was paying maintenance men at different hotels to bring me boxes of Bibles from the hotels, and just a bunch of different ways, really.
Really?
Yeah.
And the maintenance people, they'll just give you the Bible like they didn't need it for the hotel room?
No, well, I'm just taking the blank pages out. So, I mean...
Oh, so you're just taking ripping them out and giving them back the Bible?
Yeah, I mean, some cases I did that. Sometimes they didn't care and just were like, a lot of maintenance men at hotels are fucking drug addicts. So, like, you give them $100, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'll take the Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes I just rip out the blank pages and give them back. You know what I mean? They didn't know what the fuck I was doing or why. It made no sense to them, but whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn.
A lot of times, like, thrift stores have... some places give out free Bibles, you know what I mean? So it's like you can find Bible paper, you know. I mean, I did for the most part for years.
How many pages are just blank though in the Bible? Like how many? Because usually if it's a Bible, it's already got printed words on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends. Like some Bibles don't have any. You know what I mean? Some Bibles have one in the front. Some have 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Some have 5 in the back. And then, but there are certain study Bibles that it'll say, notes at the back, last, 20, 30, 40 pages are all blank, and it just says notes at the top. So you can, study the Bible or whatever, write notes. Mm-hmm. So, with those, you got, 30 blank, 40 blank pages in the back, and rip all those out, and that's, 20 bills you can make out of 40 pages. So that one Bible, it's worth a little chunk.
I wonder what religion is. We need to thank that religion. No. But damn. So, because I'm just thinking that's got to be $1 million worth of paper, right? And each bill is 2 sheets of paper. Mm-hmm. So that's, damn. And so, okay, the book is like this, right? Are you printing them long ways, or are you printing them sideways?
It depends on the size. Like your typical Gideon's Bible like this you'd find in a hotel room. I'd normally just print it long ways. You know.
Okay.
What I mean? You have the Bible paper's too thin, so you have to tape it onto regular printer paper to run it through the printer without jamming up. So.
Okay.
I mean, basically, however many I could fit on it, I would. You know what I mean? I basically printed a little square on the printer paper as a template as far as where the bill would be printed. You know what I mean? I have a layer of just a box, so I'd print that knowing where it would be. So then as long as I cover that, I just leave this much more of the Bible paper to run tape along it, and then just cover that box. As long as that box is covered, I could print it. So some Bibles were this big, and you could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides on one page, and those big ones are usually study Bibles that had a lot of blank pages. So there are certain Bibles specifically that they're worth $30,000-$40,000 worth of paper on one Bible. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. And I also heard on while you were doing concrete where you found a hotel, or it was one of the maintenance guys, where they stopped putting Bibles in the hotels.
Yeah. A lot of hotels do that now, really. You can request a Bible, but they don't just put one in the nightstand anymore. I mean, some of them still do, but some of them don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I thought to, because I was living at hotels for a while. I mean, I'd rent a house for a month or 2 and then say fuck it and go back to hotels because I was traveling around so much. But living at hotels, every night I'd go to if I got a new room, I'd take 2 blank pages out of the Bible. You know what I mean? It's worth $100, whatever, but it's there. I just grab it. But certain hotels, I'd noticed that there wasn't a Bible in there. So just one day randomly, I finally was I saw the worker or maintenance guy, whatever, at the hotel, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, where's the Bible at? And he was like, oh, I'll get you one. So I was like, okay. I'm like, what do you guys not keep them in the rooms anymore? And he basically was like, no, they're upon request. If somebody asks us for it, we'll get you one, but otherwise we don't keep them. So I basically found out that he's got 5 boxes full of Bibles in his maintenance man closet. You know what I mean? So I was like, and I could tell by looking at him that he was, he had a rough life a little bit. I was like, yo, I'll give you $100 for all these Bibles. I'll give them right back to you. You know what I mean? And he, it didn't make sense to him, but you wave a $100 bill at somebody. And it was a real 100. I wouldn't fuck him like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that kind of sparked the idea of the maintenance man thing, paying hotel workers to bring me all the Bibles. So. I mean, I had churches donating Bibles. There's all sorts of ways that you can come across it. And I wasn't like destroying the Bibles. I was just taking 2 or 3 blank pages out of the back, and then you could still do, whatever. So
yeah, dang. And then you'll give them back, and he'll be like, "Thanks."
Yeah,
yeah.
He doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
but he's going to buy a gram of dope now with the $100 I just gave him.
Yeah. And then somebody else can still use that same Bible because none of the actual pages.
Exactly. Like when I go into bookstores, I mean, no one would even know I was there because you're not stealing anything. You know what I mean? Well, actually, I got a citation for theft one time because I walked into a Walmart and I did that. And like, I guess loss prevention was watching me or whatever. And I was like ripping out, there's probably like 5 or 6 Bibles in the book section of Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So I take, the blank pages out and I just folded up, tucked it in my pants, put my shirt over it. Like not thinking anything because like you're not really stealing it. But anyway, go to walk out and this loss prevention officer was like, "Excuse me, come with me." So I was like, "What the fuck?" Go in this office and he's like, "I know you're stealing something. Like I don't know what it is, but I saw you stuff something down your pants." So I was like, eventually I was like, he pulls it out and it's just these like blank pages, like it's just like ripped up paper. And he was like, "The fuck is this?" You know what I mean? And I didn't like, what do you say to that? I can't tell him what I'm doing with it. So I was just like, "I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, do what you're gonna do with me."
Yeah.
And like finally the cop was just like, just write him a ticket, give him a court date, whatever. Like I guess for theft of the damaged Bibles or something. Like I don't know what they did, but it was eventually dropped. But nonetheless, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. You in jail for paper.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah. So how do you eventually get caught, man? How did the guy set you up?
So, I accumulated all these drug dealers from different cities, like, because Knoxville has drug dealers from a bunch of different cities go to because dope's expensive in Knoxville, but super cheap in Detroit and Cleveland and Atlanta. You know what I mean? So they go to these mid-level cities to sell dope and make, as much money as they can. But so I knew people from, was dealing with people from Detroit, Flint, Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, all these people that were living in Knoxville but buying their dope in different cities and then coming re-upping.
Yeah.
So I ended up meeting this guy from Cleveland. It was this kind of like a family, I guess. It was like him and his brother and his cousin all kind of switch, he'd be selling dope for a few months and then give the phone to his brother, and his brother would, so they could kind of take turns selling dope with the same cell phone number, so it was all the same people. But so I ended up ripping this guy off for a lot of money. Really, I was buying an 8-ball a day for fucking 3 weeks. I mean, a month. I got him probably $10,000 over the course of a month. And I guess he said it was raining one day, so the bill got wet and that color shifting makeup came off, so he found out they were fake that way. But I had gotten him for $10,000 first, you know what I mean? So he wasn't happy about it, but he was able to use the bills to re-up and spend them, so he wasn't too pissed, you know what I mean? He wanted more of them. So I started dealing with him, and we'd go up to Cleveland, and I'd break bills and he'd do his thing with the drug thing, and then we'd come back, and we did that for about 6 months until one day I was supposed to go to Cleveland with him. But I got arrested on a little petty charge. I had a failure to appear for traffic tickets. So I go to jail for the night, bond out, and he already left without me because he had to re-up. He wasn't waiting for me, whatever. So, and at this point, we actually were renting a house together. So I go home, and one of his little runner chicks that was selling dope for him while he was gone was basically she's like, "E told me not to tell you this, but he got arrested up in Cleveland. I just thought you should know." So I was like, damn, you know what I mean? He told you not to tell me.
That's kind of sketchy, yeah.
And I mean, in this house, he was selling dope, and I had a whole studio in the back, you know what I mean? Printers and computers and ventilation fans sucking so I could spray the bills with this chemical and all this. So when she told me that, I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I grab all the equipment, go stay in a hotel. So maybe 2 days later, he calls me, and he's wanting to meet up Excuse me. He's wanting to meet up. He was supposed to get some boxes of Bibles from a maintenance guy he knew up in Cleveland. So I was like, yeah, I'm not meeting up. I was like, I'm just traveling around, bro. I'll talk to you, like, trying to avoid the conversation. He was like, well, I got those Bibles for you. I was like, all right, just hold on to them. I'm out of town. Like, you know what I mean? What do you want? Like, I'll call you later. And then he was like, well, he kept being, like, persistent about meeting up with me. And I already knew, like, what time it was. You know what I mean? I knew he got arrested. He's keeping a secret from me. Now he's, like, trying to meet up. He wasn't saying anything over the phone, though. So I was like, I kept bullshitting with him, like, you know what I mean? But then he basically was like, I couldn't re-up in Cleveland. Can you get me 700 grams from some of your Detroit people? And, like, when he asked that, I was like, bro, you just got arrested. What the fuck are you doing, you know, talking over the phone like this, bro? You're talking reckless. You're not telling me you just got out of jail, bro. I'm like, you're being sketchy. I don't sell drugs. You know I don't sell drugs. Goodbye.
This is the conversation y'all having over the phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it, basically. That's all it took, because they GPS, they tracked my phone just from that conversation, which I didn't think, you know, I figured, like, okay, maybe he was cooperating. He told them my name. But, like, when I grabbed everything from the house, I grabbed everything. Like, there was no evidence at the house. So I figured, like, maybe they're building a case on me. They're investigating me, you know what I mean? But, like, I didn't think they had anything, you know what I mean? So I wasn't too, like, nervous about it, you know what I mean? Like I said, I kind of knew it was inevitable I'd get caught eventually. I was thinking I was smarter than the feds and I could, you know what I'm saying, navigate through all this. But yeah, just talking to him, I guess his testimony, they tracked my phone, kicked in the hotel room door. I was in the middle of printing when they came in.
Shit.
So yeah, wasn't good.
And this is the Secret Service that kicked the door in.
Yeah,
it was just like state police.
No, it was. So what happened was when he went up to Cleveland, he got pulled over. I guess he had a stolen car. Like, he bought this car from somebody, but it was stolen. But he had the guy that sold it to him had the title, so he didn't think it was stolen. But so he gets pulled over, and they find $20,000 in real cash and $5,000 in counterfeit money, which I guess I saw in the police report. The police didn't even know the money was fake. They, like, seized his money, assuming it was drug money, deposited it in the police's bank account, and then the bank came back and told the police, like, hey, it's $5,000 of this shit's fake, you know what I mean? So, so the Cleveland district, you know what I mean, whatever it is, Ohio, Northern District of Ohio Secret Service, basically made a deal with him and said, we won't charge you if you bring us down to Knoxville and set this guy up.
Now, here's my question. Why do they want you if they just got him for the drugs and the money?
Well, they didn't find any drugs on him because he didn't re-up yet.
Oh, okay. So he was about to. He just had the counterfeit.
They found him with a bunch of money in a stolen car.
Oh, okay.
But they knew he was a drug dealer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And he admitted that he was a drug dealer. Like, in his mind, he was thinking, like, they didn't find any drugs on me. Like, I've got the discovery, the tapes of him being interrogated, and basically he was like, he offered to cooperate on me. He was like, well, I can give you the guy that makes these bills. He's like, I just am in possession of them. You know what I mean? So they were like, okay, if we drop these charges on you and you give us the guy who makes them, we need to know you're being honest with us and, you know, cooperating and not lying. So, like, tell us the truth. What are you doing up in Cleveland with $25,000? You're a drug dealer, right? And I guess in his mind he was thinking, like, they didn't catch me with any drugs. Like, I'll just admit to being a drug. You know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, I'd sell heroin, and you know what I mean. But either way, so he fucked himself on that.
Mm-hmm.
But and the Secret Service had a good spiel to him. They were like, we're the Secret Service. We don't care about drugs. That's not even our jurisdiction. Like, we're just worried about this money. We just need to know you're being honest with us. So he admitted to, like, selling heroin, buying these bills from me, all this stuff. Like, he just told them everything that was going on. You know what I mean? So the Cleveland Secret Service basically said, we won't charge you if you drive us down to Knoxville and set this guy up. So he agrees. So they let him out. He comes to Knoxville and sets me up. You know what I mean? They let him go as, like, an informant or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So But I guess through all that, the Eastern District of Tennessee Secret Service charged him. So, like, the Cleveland Secret Service didn't charge him in that district, but then they brought him down to Knoxville, and Knoxville was like, well, we're still going to charge you, you know what I mean? So, he was a co-defendant on my case, but he, like, basically the Secret Service fucked him, really. But by the time they raided the room, it was the Cleveland Secret Service, Knoxville Secret Service, there was the Drug Task Force there, KPD, Organized Crime Unit, and I don't know if, like, DEA was there or not, but I know the Tennessee, like, state drug task force was there, because he was saying that I could get him kilos of heroin, because, you know what I mean, which I didn't sell drugs, but I knew a lot of, like, big players in that scene, you know what I mean? So he was trying to get me to just middleman it for him, like, just get it for me from your people. So it's like, you know, I mean, that's fucked up, you know what I mean? I don't even, like, a heroin conspiracy is like 5-10 years, you know what I mean, in the feds. So he's trying to set me up for that shit when I don't even, you know what I mean? I do personal use shit, but I wasn't selling, like, bricks of fucking dope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so after that, they raided the hotel. Like I said, it was, originally it was state charges, until the Secret Service, because they didn't know who I was. They just said, he basically told them, like, I can bring you down to Knoxville and get you this guy. So they had no evidence on me at all, except for his testimony. So by the time they arrested me, it was on state charges, and then but like I said, I was printing, like, in the process of making like 10 grand. I was printing 6,000 for these Detroit dudes that put in an order for me, and I was making like a few extra thousand for myself when they kicked the door in. So they got, you know, computers with all these files on them, and they need a warrant to go through the computer. So that took a few weeks of them getting a warrant or whatever, searching through it. So eventually those state charges were dropped, and the feds, you know, served me the indictment. But
God damn. Shit. So from the time you get arrested from the hotel, it took 3 months before the Secret Service actually indicted you?
Yeah, I think it was like 3.5 months.
And it was, and in that time they was just trying to get the warrant, but they already had all of the evidence.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly. Like, basically, they just, I know it said they got a warrant to go through my computer, which, I mean, they already had. I think the feds had enough evidence to indict me right away, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it took them a few months to finally serve me the paperwork. Because, like, when I was arrested on the state charges, they put a bond source hearing on me. So, like, if I tried to bond out, I'd have to supply whatever the amount is. Like, I think it was like $150,000 bail or something like that. But I'd also have to provide documents to the court to prove the funds were legitimate and where they all came from and stuff. So, like, there was no way I was bonding out. You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure they knew that. So, yeah, they had time to just build their case on me. But it took them like 3 months. Finally, I get called to go to court. My, like, public defender in the state was like, they're going to drop their charges on you because the feds are going to serve you an indictment today after court. So, and I mean, I already knew it was coming because I saw all the Secret Service patches and, you know what I'm saying? Like, I already knew what was going on. But, like, also I was grateful in a way because the state, at first, they were basically telling me I was looking at, like, 8 to 12 years in the state for you know, like, Knoxville probably wasn't too happy. Like, I was spending a lot of money in the Eastern District of Tennessee, you know. But, you know, with the feds picking it up, all those cases were consolidated. So, like, they couldn't put a hold on me from Atlanta and Cleveland and Detroit and all these cities. You know, if the feds didn't pick it up, all these different counties could charge me. And I'd be just spending a long time hopping around from county jail to county jail fighting these cases or whatever.
Yeah.
So the feds, when they picked it up, it all consolidated to just, you know, one conspiracy charge. So it was really for the best.
Okay. All right. And how much time did you end up doing?
Well, I only ended up doing 10 months.
Really?
Yeah, they offered me a deal that was pretty good. So, like, at first, I was looking at like 3 years was the charge, because like that weed charge I had when I was younger was adjudication withheld. So, like, in the feds, my criminal history was really low. And basically, like, they came to me and said, you're looking at like 3 years right now, because like once you hit over $100,000, it's an enhancement. So they were like, but if you plead guilty today, they're like, we'll drop it right under 100,000, so that avoids that enhancement. So that 3 years will get knocked down to like 2. And then they were like, and you know, these are the best bills we've seen in a long time. They were like, if you can make a training video showing us how you made the bills, we'll give you cooperation credit on top of it.
A training video?
Yeah. So like, I guess the Secret Service tries to do that with like, you know, good counterfeiters or whatever. You know what I mean? They want to know how you did it, how you learned about it, this and that. And there was like some of the new Blue Notes that I had in my possession that looked really good, which they were really interested in. So basically, yeah, they just wanted to know like how I learned about this stuff, how I made them. They wanted me to like make a couple bills on camera so they could use that video to train future agents. You know what I mean? As like a whatever, however they train Secret Service agents. But so avoiding that enhancement, that 3 years got knocked down to 2. And then they were basically like, if you make this video for us on top of it, we'll give you a 30% reduction. You know what I mean? Which is, so that 24 months got knocked down to the range of 10 to 16 months. So, and luckily the judge gave me the low end at 10 months. So, yeah. But they also, like, they said, we won't charge your wife with anything, you know, because my wife was arrested with me originally.
Really?
Yeah. But they, you know, they basically, like, the Secret Service agent was really cool. He was like, he's like, I know you have a drug problem. I know y'all have kids. He's like, I don't want to see your kids go to foster care and both of y'all go to prison. And, you know, so he was like, you know, he was not a bad guy, really. Greg Watson. Appreciate that.
Shout out to Greg, man. Shout out to Greg.
But yeah, they gave me a good deal. And so, like, I pled guilty, made this, you know, went to the Secret Service headquarters. They flew a film crew down from D.C. with like the head of the counterfeiting department and this film crew, and yeah, just like explained all the evidence, what it was, how I learned about it.
So you used the evidence that they took from you to remake it in front of them.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they were gonna do that, but yeah, I ended up just walking in this room and it was just this big table with everything from my hotel room that they raided. All these printers, computers. I had like a suitcase full of different like chemical sprays, and you know, color shifting makeup, just all sorts of stuff I was experimenting with and using, and like all the supplies. Which a lot of that stuff they didn't know what it was or like why, because a lot of like certain little pens I had where it just looked like a regular pen, but it was actually really important to what I was doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, they just made me go through everything and kind of explain what was important, how I learned about it, you know, the whole spiel.
Shit. And while you're doing it, you have to actually explain, like, okay, this chemical is such and such, and this is why. Damn.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I was making these bills, and I grabbed this can of lacquer, spray can, and start spraying it.
Yeah.
And then, like, I realized, like, we're in a room like this, you know what I mean? And, like, these Secret Service agents, all these people are like, oh, my God, like, I'm spraying lacquer inside. And everybody, you know, my lawyer ran out of the room. I guess she was pregnant. I didn't even know that. So she was like, oh, that stinks, and runs out. So, but, yeah, the Secret Service agent was like, keep going. Dude, you know what I mean? Like, they want that video. So.
Yeah, golly, man. So, man, fucking incredible story, Jeff. Incredible story, man.
It was fun while it lasted. But
yeah.
I'm glad I got caught, you know, because I'm sober now. Things are, you know, seem to be on a good path for me, you know what I mean? Everything's going well for me now, you know what I mean?
Good, man. Good. I seen you posted something on your Facebook I wanted to ask you about. You said signing on the dotted line. Can't wait to see what happens. Are excited. What was that? Are you signing a book deal, movie deal, what?
Well, I optioned my life rights to a screenwriter director team at some film company.
Oh, okay.
So
potentially a movie.
Yeah, they're writing the script now, so I don't know where it'll go, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be something.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is that process like of them making a movie? They just sit down and ask you, like, explain what happened here and that kind of thing?
Well, they just kind of started doing it. So like when I guess they saw me on Concrete or Matt Cox. So first I did Matt Cox's Inside True Crime, and then he got me on with Concrete, and then that's when they emailed me and basically said, we're interested in, optioning your life rights, blah, blah, blah. I talked to him on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours one night, just kind of telling him the whole story with like details and, stuff. I think they might have like recorded it or something, but, and then, they signed me the contract or mailed me the contract. I signed it. Now they just started writing it maybe a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And, just kind of when they have a question about something specific, just call me and, they're doing their thing.
Yeah, who do you think is gonna play you? Who would you like?
I don't know.
Who would you like to see play you?
Hey, if that shit gets made, anybody can play me. I don't care. Get that bag if it's made.
Yeah, that'll be sweet, man.
Yeah,
that'll be sweet, man.
Well, I'm also writing a book myself too.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll be done in the next 6-8 months maybe. It's hard, long process though.
Yeah, I heard them books are they are grueling because you got to go through every single detail about everything. Yeah. But I heard it's very lucrative on the other end. I mean, what I mean? After you finish.
Hopefully, a lot of people have said they were interested in after I did Concrete, especially just my DMs flooded with all these random people, encouraging me to write,
including me.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, man.
That's cool, man. I wish you nothing but success, man. I mean, fucking great story. What do you think the movie would be called? What would you want the movie to be titled?
Your
life.
The book I'm writing is Dirty Money, I think, is what I'm going with. But the movie, I don't know. That's all in their hands. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man. And I want to say, fuck Matt Cox, man. Fuck you, Matt Cox.
Why you say that?
I have Matt Cox booked to come on the podcast. Got him the plane ticket. Everything is, is booked. And then all of a sudden he says, "Hey, I can't make it." Like a week before, and I'm just like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck?" But Matt is cool. I'm just busting balls with him. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, damn, yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
I was just like, what the fuck? And I never got the money back for the ticket.
Damn.
Like, I was just like, fuck it. But it's all good, man.
Well, he helped me out. He got me into all this shit. So I got
cool, man.
But
cool.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah,
that does suck, man.
It's all good, man. Yo, man, thank you, Jeff, man. Leave your social media so people can get a hold of you or want to get in touch with you. Leave your information.
Okay. Well, I'm just now starting a YouTube channel. I don't know. It's just Jeff Turner. Trying to get that going. Jeff Turner on Facebook. What is it? J.Turner 727 on Instagram. It's about all I really fuck with right now. So.
Okay. All right. What's the best way, Instagram or Facebook, do people get a hold of you?
Probably Facebook.
Okay.
That's how I communicate with people pretty much on a daily basis.
Okay. All right. Yo, man, thank y'all for tapping in, man. This has been the Tap In Podcast. Appreciate my guest, Jeff, for being on the show, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe down at the bottom, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. This has been the Tap In Podcast. Holla.